Tonight, allegations of GMO trial breaches in the state. East Tamar residents battle to save their homes. And an upset full of rhythm blitzes the Launceston Cup field. Hello, I'm Steve Titmus. First tonight, Tasmania's clean green image is under threat following allegations a company at the centre of genetically modified crop trials has allowed GM organisms to escape into the environment. Saville is under investigation by the Director of Public Prosecutions and the Federal Gene Technology Regulator after fears GM particles could have spread to neighbouring properties.
Before last year's moratorium on GMO crop trials, Tasmanian company Saville conducted trials for 3 years of GE crops like canola on behalf of multinationals Monsanto and Aventis. The following spot checks on 11 sites near Hobart by the Federal Gene Technology Regulator, it's been revealed Saville failed to dispose of GM canola crop remnants before planting a crop of poppies, breaching the state's GE moratorium.
And it appears that during an audit of these sites by the national regulator, that some 11 sites have been identified as being not complying with the provisions that were set out.
David Llewellyn says there's also evidence Saville was conducting multiple trials on its sites without the knowledge of the state government, admitting the possibility of genetically modified material escaping into the environment.
I can't give any guarantees with respect to that. There may well have been cross-contamination.
Greens MHA Peg Putt says the revelations are evidence that major corporations can't be trusted.
An arrogant group of multinational businesses in agriculture have arrogantly decided that they will determine whether Tasmania is GE-free rather than allowing the elected representatives of the people to make that choice on behalf of Tasmanians.
The state government has referred the allegations to the Director of Public Prosecutions. Saville was unavailable for comment. Gerard Sholton, Southern Cross News.
As fire-devastated farmers in the Central Midlands come to terms with their losses, others are rallying to help. The fire service says the blaze, which has destroyed 4,000 hectares, is now under control, but farmer anger is growing over the cause. We warn viewers may find some following scenes are distressing.
Among the pasture land devastation, one lone sheep finds refuge on an island of feed, while dazed and surviving wildlife seek shelter in any habitable place. Donated hay from Cressy is the first supply of fodder to arrive at the Lowick property, which has lost more than half its prime wool stock. The TFGA says farmers understand the trauma and have rallied to help.
We did put out a call for some assistance, particularly with emergency feed late last night, and we've absolutely been overwhelmed with the response that we've had in that regard.
Fire service investigations indicate the blaze may have been caused by a passing train. Farmers agree, saying they want compensation.
I guess if I went down and derailed a train, they would be, if they thought I did it, well, I'd certainly be knocking on my door, wouldn't they? Asking them what the value of my farm would be. So, yes, we're banding together and we want answers and we're looking for compensation.
As farmers come to terms with their future struggle, they're now faced with the grim task of burying their stock, replacing fencing and a bleak winter, where no amount of superficial rain is going to help.
We're facing winter. This is not early spring, this is winter, and it's going to be grim. Without this, it was going to be tough, really tough. This is a shocker.
The government is providing free veterinary advice and stock assessment. Tasrail says it is cooperating with fire investigations, but its own tests have shown no malfunction on its train. The fire service says the blaze is now contained and under control. Kay Wilkinson, Southern Cross News.
Residents living on the East Tamar just north of Launceston have also come face to face with fire. Many have been forced to fight a blaze by hand after their homes were threatened overnight.
As the sun went down last night, residents in and around the Swan Bay area were bracing for the worst.
It's actually spreading about 50 metres in front of the fire. We've got no gear. We're going to try and tackle it by hand.
The 300-metre fire front moving quickly through bushland and paddocks.
Considering that it's a low-density residential area, a lot of 5-acre blocks and so on in it, there are a lot of residents within the fire area.
Firefighting conditions hampered when a fire truck and a motorbike were involved in an accident on the East Tamar Highway. It prompted the closure of the road. The fire so fierce that this car stood no chance. At one stage, this was just a small fire being contained by a maze of dozer-made fire breaks. Then all of a sudden, more than 15 homes in the area were under real danger of being burnt to the ground.
Probably 20-odd houses have been in danger this afternoon.
Is it a miracle none went up?
It is a miracle, I would say. I don't know, at times we couldn't even see for the smoke.
I think your heart's in your mouth and you stand there thinking, what are we going to do? But fortunately the fire truck came with all the water, and the next minute he was spraying everybody plus the neighbours.
Carol Barnes says without the firefighters, her house wouldn't be standing. Today, the fire was still causing some concern as high northwesterly winds continued to blow. But with the help of mid-morning showers, the fire has been brought under control. Andrew Hart, Southern Cross News.
The Prime Minister is resisting the demands of motoring groups to immediately cut petrol prices by 3 cents a litre. They claim John Howard can afford to give relief to drivers without jeopardising the budget bottom line. But Mr Howard denies that, warning any cut at the Bowser will be modest.
The Manager of Opposition Business...
In Parliament, the day began with a stunt, but an effective one. Labor introducing its own legislation to cut fuel excise.
Minister for Community Services, Leader of the Opposition, resume his seat.
Mr Speaker, I move that the member no longer be heard.
The government gagged the debate to save embarrassment, but it could not gag motoring organisations. They claim John Howard can afford to give a 3 cent a litre cut to drivers without jeopardising the budget bottom line.
It's made a windfall from the petroleum resources rent tax as well. It does have the money to hand back the 3 cents a litre.
But Mr Howard denies that, warning any cut at the Bowser will be modest.
We're not going to put the budget surplus next year at risk. And the reason for that is that if you put the surplus at risk, you can put other things at risk, like low interest rates.
The financial markets agree. They worry if Mr Howard embarks on a pre-election spending spree to placate voters, the dollar could go through the floor.
The giving of money to the community can't be at the expense of economic credentials, so the government's got to walk a very fine line.
The government's backflip on petrol has buoyed the opposition, which is already riding high in the polls. A cocky Kim Beazley believes the lodge is almost in sight.
When the government of the day has effectively confessed that you are right, you're only moments away from the public saying, well, if the government thinks you're right, perhaps you should be government.
The son of Sir Donald Bradman has admitted the worldwide tributes for his late father have overwhelmed the family. Australia's cricket legend will be buried privately tomorrow, with a national memorial service to be held next month.
Like his father, John Bradman had shunned the public life for years, maintaining the strictest privacy for himself and children Greta and Tom. This was the day they'd break their silence.
We had a very warm and close relationship. After my mum died, I saw him virtually every day, literally every day, and we talked for hours.
But he confessed it had been tough in earlier years, that pressure that forced him to abandon Australia's most famous surname and call himself Bradson.
It's one thing to be born with a silver spoon in your mouth, if that's what it was. It's another to be born with a silver shovel.
He also revealed Sir Don's last weeks were bedridden. As for his last words...
I could tell you my mum's last words.
He's unsure.
He had trouble with swallowing and that mechanism generally, and speech became very difficult for him.
John and Greta confirmed how difficult life had been since his wife Jessie had passed away.
He did miss her, though.
Yes, he missed it terribly, and we did our best to make up for that. That's why I saw him every day.
The family said they were astonished by the worldwide reaction to Sir Don's death, yet still uncomfortable.
This iconic stuff I think is a little bit troubling. I don't think he should become a religious figure.
Still, he knows the Adelaide Memorial will be overwhelming. To be held on Sunday, March 25, St Peter's Cathedral will not be able to handle the numbers. Giant video screens will be built at the Oval next door.
And as many people who wish, of course, are most welcome to come.
The family's private service will be held tomorrow. For the rest of the nation, there are other ways to pay tribute. Australia Post has already begun distributing these Bradman condolence books to its 4,000 branches across the country. And they'll be available for the public to contribute their thoughts to from tomorrow. How might a son sum up his father?
Fantastic. Fantastic.
An abduction case in the Hobart Supreme Court has ended with the 3 defendants being found guilty of various charges, including aggravated assault. The trial related to a series of events sparked by a grievance over a stolen motorbike, which led to a police chase and car crash on the East Coast last year. 30-year-old Craig Anthony Devine was found guilty of 3 charges. Justin Richard Maynard, 28, was found guilty of 8 charges and acquitted on 3. And Craig John Smith, 32, was found guilty of 7 charges and acquitted on 3. The sentencing date is yet to be fixed. The Launceston Cup has been run and won with a near record crowd of 14,700 in attendance. And while all eyes were fixed on the fillies for the big race, there was plenty of action off the track.
For some cup goers, the day kicked off with a dash to the shops for that last-minute accessory.
Yesterday and this morning between till 10 was absolutely crazy.
And before the first race had even begun, the competition was already fierce as crowds squeezed through the gate to find that perfect spot to park the picnic rug and the esky.
Well, it's a social day, really. I'm not really interested in the races.
It's just the atmosphere, I think, the amount of people that come along and support the Launceston Cup and dressing up. Everyone's, dressing, drinking, laughing, having a good time.
And as the ladies lunched, it was straight into the betting ring for much of the male contingent.
Dismal experiences at Hobart Cup, and always reckon Launceston Cup was a better day.
Not much of a gambler, always get some bad tips.
And while the weather didn't quite live up to expectations,
fine for Launceston, the chance of a late shower, 23 the high.
let's hope our weatherman had more success picking a winner.
I'll leave the Bureau to pick the weather, I'll just present it, and hopefully I'll be presenting a trophy to St Andrews owners this afternoon.
Better luck next time, Murph. Amanda Smith, Southern Cross News. After the break, the university involved in a world-first motorsport venture, and England's foot and mouth crisis widens. The App Railway is back on track after Sunday's derailment. The 9:30 trip was cancelled this morning while railway management waited for the all-clear from the Transport Department. That came just before lunch and the 1 o'clock trip left on time. A world-first racing car designed to enhance driver safety and fuel economy is under construction at the University of Tasmania. The artificial intelligence car is the focus of a training and research project conducted by university students in collaboration with German researchers. The car will feature sensors which allow it to make its own decisions to help prevent driver deaths. The technology eventually could be utilised in everyday motor cars.
No matter what you do with it, how fast you go, no matter what bends that you take, it will never overturn.
A potential blow to Australia's most famous horse race. The Melbourne Cup is set to be without the usual contingent of English raiders. A quarantine crackdown to contain the foot and mouth epidemic may prevent English horses entering Australia.
Leading Melbourne trainer Dean Lawson's concerns over the possible spread of foot and mouth disease has already led him to cancel plans for champion galloper Testarossa to travel to England, where he was to contest 2 feature races early in May. Lawson unable to take the risk, considering Australia's tough quarantine laws offered no guarantee the horse would be able to re-enter the country. He believes these laws will rule out the normal crop of British stayers flying in for our Cup carnivals.
Just for the sake of coming over for a Melbourne Cup, if there's a chance that it could affect our livestock, well, you know, it'd probably be safer to not let them in.
The VRC concedes this year's Melbourne Cup may be without the regular lineup of quality English raiders, especially given the likely impact on horses' preparation with the postponement of all meetings, including the much publicised Cheltenham race day. The VRC already playing it safe, looking for horses from other areas.
Fortuitously, we have Ireland, France and Germany. They're disease-free at this stage in terms of foot and mouth. First and foremost, we've got to protect our industry.
Of course, the breeding industry has also been forced to monitor the outbreak closely, especially those studs with horses servicing in both England and Australia. Irish sporting officials have also ruled out taking any risk with contamination, issuing strict instructions. A baby girl rescued from Canada's snow continues to make a remarkable recovery in hospital. Erica Norby was clinically dead for 2 hours before she was found by her frantic mother. 13-month-old Erica Norby today had an appetite for life, able to play and talk to her mother for the first time. 3 nights ago, Layla Norby woke and realised the toddler was missing.
And I just saw something laying in the snow. I ran to the snow and I saw Erica on her belly. I picked her up. She was frozen.
The temperature was -20. Erica had been clinically dead for 2 hours.
I threw my arms, I ran inside the house, I wrapped her in a big pink blanket, and I just rocked her and screamed.
The toddler continues to amaze doctors with her recovery, but she could still lose frostbitten fingers and toes. Her 26-year-old mother has been criticised for leaving Erica with a friend.
If anything's wrong in her brain, I'm going to be reminded every day. I don't need somebody pointing it at me.
Another toddler is also in hospital after wandering into the snow in Wisconsin. The 2-year-old boy was airlifted to hospital in a critical condition.
Finance for JB Weir and a joint venture between National Foods and Murray Goulburn is offering to buy leading dairy company Bonlac Foods, which controls 20% of Australia's milk supply. While Guns Limited is reported to be considering raising around $120 million to buy North Forest products. To the markets, and weaker US equity markets failed to dampen investor enthusiasm as the Australian market rallied strongly in afternoon trade. The ASX 200 finishing the day 24 points higher. The Australian dollar slipped slightly in day trade. A short time ago, it was buying 52.46 US cents. Affairs is next with all the day's sport and an easy win in the end in the Lonnie Cup.
It was full of rhythm, Steve, that's for sure. Highlights coming up, and Australia gains the upper hand in the first test.
What would happen if a four-wheel drive was raised by a family of sports cars?
Zoom, 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 zoom. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Yeah, zoom, 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 zoom. Zoom, zoom, zoom.
Introducing the 150 kilowatt V6 Mazda Tribute. The four-wheel drive with the soul of a sports car.
Good evening, everyone. Australia is on top on day 2 of the first test against India. Chasing 176, the Aussies were in trouble at 5 for 99. But then Matthew Hayden and Adam Gilchrist came to the rescue. A short time ago, the Aussies were 5 for 208.
Sachin Tendulkar was the highlight of the first day.
Width and 4.
His 76 included 13 fours.
Oh, well played. Beautifully played. And that is a beauty.
A sigh of relief when McGrath snared the little master.
Oh, well taken.
Shane Warne ripped through the lower order. Agaka's 6th consecutive duck against Australia. The home side all out for 176. An early life for Slater.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Big deflection.
His luck didn't last.
Situation. That's it.
Matthew Hayden aggressive. The Aussies 1 for 49 at stumps.
Has exercised a bit of muscle.
But early on day 2, India's spinners took control. Harbhajan Singh to Langer.
Oh, and the question's like, that's it. That's it. He's got him.
Mark Waugh, next ball.
Oh, he's got him. He's got him. First ball. Mark Waugh's gone. First ball.
Steve Waugh avoided the hat-trick, but on 15, a controversial dismissal.
Well, I think he's missed it, and the ball's hit the back pad.
Australia lost 4 for 27 in 37 balls. Ponting.
And did he hit it? Yes, he has.
The rescue mission left to Matthew Hayden and Adam Gilchrist.
Oh, that's a lovely shot. Well, there it goes. He's got hold of that one too. Magnificently played.
Hayden on 80 at lunch. Australia 5 for 170. A half-century at almost a run a ball from Gilchrist, edging the tourists into the lead.
To racing out at Mowbray this afternoon, the feature event was the $100,000 Liquor for Less Launceston Cup. Here are the closing stages.
Coming to the outside, and so is St Andrews now, and Bro Ramastar trails him up, but full of rhythm, shot away in the straight. St Andrews coming down the outside of the 200, then Bro Ramastar and Naucho, but it's no race. Full of rhythm is going to walk in, and down to the line, it's full of rhythm by 4 lengths. St Andrews second, Naucho is third.
I was concerned because he didn't settle on me, and I didn't really want to rev him up to go to the front because 2600, even though it wasn't a worry for him, I know he can run it because he's won over it 3 times.
He's been poorly ridden the last couple of starts by a couple of our top jockeys in Melbourne. Brian's ridden him before, knew what to do. Tony had him cherry ripe for the race.
Full of rhythm, the winner paying $7.50 and $2.50. Number 3 St Andrews second, paying $1.70. And number 6 Naucho was third, paying $1.90. The Quinella, $20, and the trifecta, a tad over $248. Japanese 500cc rider Noriyuki Haga has topped the timesheets after the latest test session in Spain. Starting his first full season in Grand Prix racing with the Red Bull Yamaha team, Noriyuki Haga is quickly proving himself a world-class competitor. In pre-season testing, Haga clocked a best time of 1:35.482 to edge out compatriot Toru Yukawa on a Repsol Honda and Italian Valentino Rossi. The Pirelli Rothmans Pro Car team has won a BP 24-hour endurance race in Oman. A storming last session by Jordi Koujman ensured a comfortable 7-lap victory over defending champions BMW. On the water, Club Med is enjoying fine sailing conditions off the Canary Islands on day 57 of the race. Graham Dalton's giant catamaran was travelling at an average of 14.8 knots, and it opened up a 926 nautical mile lead over Innovation Explorer. And in golf news, some of the newest high-tech toys, from global positioning carts to remote control bag carriers, are on display in Singapore. Golfers can now practice on virtual driving ranges or use satellite to tell them where they are on the course and how far it is to the green. They can even order up drinks and food on their way back to the clubhouse, all at the touch of a button. My kind of game. To yachting, and a once-in-a-lifetime chance for 22-year-old Launceston sailor Mark Paget. He and his crew have been invited to Sydney for a weekend's one-on-one coaching from Australia's 470 class coach.
Although Mark and his crew, Tim Cubic, have never sailed a 470 class yacht, they are seasoned pros in the smaller 420 class. After winning silver at the national titles last night, the duo won more than just a medal. It seems the country's #1 coach liked what he saw.
Well, Vic actually phoned our coach and said, look, I want your guys up there. Can you get them up there this weekend? And we said, oh, yeah, sure. No worries. We'll try and organise it.
Victor Kovalenko's record speaks for itself. Every sailor he's taken on board has won a medal at the Olympics. If he likes what he sees on the weekend, Mark and Tim could be headed for Athens.
Tim and I, to get the opportunity to go up there and have this one-on-one coaching, yeah, it's probably the biggest thing that's happened to us.
The pair will sail their first 470 class race at an Easter regatta in Sydney. And Tassie's hockey girls are ready and raring for this year's national competition. The Van Diemen's unveiling their new uniforms today. The girls will play Darwin this weekend in 2 first-round matches. Andrew Hart, Southern Cross News.
Yeah, best of luck to the girls in that sport.
Thanks, Rob. Ken Saville along shortly with the weather forecast.
Tonight's weather, proudly presented by
Guns, building futures in Tasmania.
Good evening. Well, I hope someone knows what they're doing here. These guys getting a boat ready at Kingston Beach in the state south. Well, the front passed the state today, keeping temperatures low and bringing showers to most areas. Hobart had 19, Launceston and Burnie 21, 22 in Devonport. The state's top, though, was a warm 26, and that was at Friendly Beaches in the east. Bichno had 24, Scottsdale 20, Ross 21, Strawn 16, Dover 17 and 19 on King Island. Now, today's chart shows Tasmania under a cooler southwesterly airstream, and that's because of cold fronts off the west coast this morning, which did cross during the day. On the sequence tonight, we can see the front crossing the state with a speckle of cloud in behind it showing much colder air. It's also cyclone polar off the northeastern part of Australia. On the close-up and a good look at the front, the southeast, northeast rather, just having the edge there and cloud over most of the state. Tomorrow's chart shows the high to move over the state with another front to the west, which will cross later on during the week. On the water tomorrow, and winds will ease overnight to 5 to 15 knots and become variable, although we can expect strong winds tonight from the southwest up to 25 knots. Not surprisingly, there is a strong wind warning current for all waters tonight, along with a road weather alert for the southeast due to slippery road conditions. Fine tomorrow in Hobart, though, 20 degrees. Fine and sunny in Launceston, 22, and a fine day along the coast, 20 degrees. UV tomorrow and very high 7s across the state during sunny breaks. Fine the east, St Helens 22, Swansea 21, with a fine day in Strawn tomorrow and 19 degrees. Mainly fine until showers develop on Friday. Drizzle in the east and south, otherwise fine on Saturday, with a mainly fine day for Sunday. Becoming fine in Melbourne tomorrow, 26 degrees. Fine in Adelaide, 27, and Brisbane a warm 30 degrees. And current conditions around the state, Hobart a few showers about 14 degrees, Launceston fine and 19, and fine in Devonport and 19 as well. So it looks like things are going to fine up there, Steve.
Sounds good. Thanks very much for that, Ken. And that is the news for tonight. We leave you with more of the scenes from Launceston Cup Day. I'm Steve Titmus. Bye for now.